There was a student who couldn't study, no matter how hard he tried. One day, he decided to try something different. He told himself he'd only study for 2 minutes. That small step changed everything. Today, I'll show you the same trick to beat laziness instantly. We've all been there, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, scrolling on our phone, knowing we should get up and do something productive. But laziness creeps in, and the longer we wait, the harder it gets to start. The truth is, laziness isn't about being weak or unmotivated. It's about momentum. The good news, you can beat it in just 2 minutes. Let me show you how. The 2-minute rule. The most powerful weapon against laziness is something incredibly simple, the 2-minute rule. Why does this work? Because most of the time, what stops us isn't the task itself. It's the thought of starting it. Our brains exaggerate effort, making even small things feel like climbing a mountain. That's why we delay, we scroll, we distract ourselves. But here's the trick, commit to just 2 minutes. You don't need to finish the workout, clean the entire room, or write an entire report. All you need to do is start. If your goal is to exercise, tell yourself you'll just put on your sneakers and do a 2-minute warm-up. If you need to study, promise yourself you'll just open the book and read a single page. What happens next is fascinating. Once you take that tiny step, your brain naturally builds momentum. Action generates motivation, not the other way around. Think about it. When you start brushing your teeth, you don't stop after brushing just one tooth. The act itself pulls you into completing it. Similarly, 2 minutes of action flips the mental switch. The 2-minute rule works because it defeats perfectionism and procrastination. Instead of thinking, I have to do everything, you reframe it to, I only need to do a little. That feels doable. And once you start, continuing becomes the easy part. In short, beating laziness doesn't require superhuman willpower. It just requires the courage to start for 2 minutes. Trick your brain with micro-actions. Laziness often comes from one thing, our brain overestimating the size of the task. When we think about cleaning the whole house, writing an entire report, or running 5 miles, it feels heavy and overwhelming. That mental weight makes us delay, avoid, or tell ourselves, I'll do it later. But here's the hack, micro-actions. These are the tiniest, most effortless steps you can take toward your goal. So small that your brain doesn't see them as a threat. Instead of telling yourself, I'll clean the room, just say, I'll pick up 1 shirt from the floor. Instead of I'll study for 3 hours, say, I'll open my notebook and write the first word. Instead of I'll work out hard today, just decide, I'll step outside in my running shoes. The magic is this, small actions create motion. And once you're in motion, it becomes far easier to keep going. Your brain resists starting, not continuing. That's why beginning with a micro-action bypasses the mental wall of laziness. It's the same principle athletes use. A marathon runner doesn't focus on 26 miles. They focus on the first step. Writers don't begin with a 300-page book. They begin with 1 sentence. These micro-actions are like mental loopholes. You trick your brain into starting something it would otherwise resist. And remember, it doesn't matter if you only do that 1 small action. What matters is that you've shifted gears from stillness to movement. More often than not, picking up that 1 shirt leads to cleaning the whole room, and opening the notebook leads to an hour of studying. That's how micro-actions beat laziness, by shrinking big, scary goals into bite-sized, doable steps. Chain reaction of progress. Here's where the real power of fighting laziness shows itself, the chain reaction effect. Once you start with just 2 minutes or a micro-action, something surprising happens. You almost never stop there. Why? Because action breeds more action. Think of it like pushing a heavy car. The hardest part is that first push, but once the wheels start rolling, momentum carries it forward with less effort. Laziness works the same way. The first spark is tough, but once you begin, continuing feels natural. 2 minutes of reading can turn into finishing a whole chapter. 2 minutes of stretching can grow into a 30-minute workout. 2 minutes of journaling can flow into writing an entire page. What began as a tiny effort expands into meaningful progress because your mind shifts from, I don't want to into, I'm already doing it. This chain reaction also rewires how you see yourself. Every time you start and keep going, even a little, you're proving to your brain, I'm the kind of person who takes action. Over time, this builds self-discipline, confidence, and consistency. Laziness loses its grip because you've built a new identity around progress. And here's the best part. You don't need to rely on bursts of motivation anymore. You simply start small, and let the natural momentum carry you further than you expected. The hardest part is always starting, but once you've started, you're already winning. So remember, 2 minutes can start a chain reaction that changes your entire day and eventually your entire life.